Hi, Robert Scheinfeld here. Welcome to what I'm calling the Magic Genie video. So play with me here for a minute. Imagine that I am a magic genie who has been made at your disposal. And I will grant any wish that you have, unlimited number of wishes. The only restriction is you can only wish for one thing at a time. You can't say, I wish that everything in my life would be perfect, and have everything across the board transform. You have to focus on one thing at a time, one wish at a time. So play with me here. Imagine that happened. What would you do? Now, if you're like me, and you're like so many of the other people that I chat with and work with and coach, what you would do in your own unique way is you would go down a gigantic list that you have right now of the things in your life that you want to change, fix, or improve. There are all kinds of things that are in your life that you don't like, that you'd like to get rid of, and you've been trying to find a way to get rid of or heal or transform or whatever, improve. And then there are all kinds of things that you want in your life that you don't feel that you have right now that you want in your life. So there's present stuff you want gone, and there's missing stuff that you want brought in. And if you're like so many people, you got this huge list, of things you want to change, fix, and improve, and you've been struggling for years to try to make those changes, those fixes, those improves. So the minute you had this genie, you'd start working your way down your list, and you'd be making these wishes. I want to be making this much money. I want to be living in this kind of house. I want to have this kind of a relationship. I want to have this kind of sexual dynamic. I want to have this kind of business or career. I want to whatever. And you'd go down your list. Now, there are two really fascinating things I want you to take a look at. And one of them is, when you start working your way down the list, you would discover something very interesting. You would discover that a bunch of the things on your list that you thought would make your life so much better, that you'd love, that you'd enjoy, that would really float your boat, when you actually have them, they either don't at all, or the joy, the pleasure, the exhilaration, whatever, is short-lived. There's momentary excitement when you first get it, and then it wears off, and it's kind of like, is that all there is, kind of a thing? So either you'll find it isn't as great as you thought it was going to be, it didn't really change your life or improve your life all that much, or it did, but it was fleeting, it didn't last. So keep that in mind as we go forward. As you're moving through your list, you'd discover that. You'd be all excited, you'd say, okay, I want this, and you have this picture, usually vague, of what this is going to be like if you got it. And then you'd notice the dynamic that I just explained. But here's the really, really, really fascinating thing, and the real point I want to zing into you here in this video. At some point, and we're all different, so it would take each of us different amounts of time to get to this point, but you'd get to the point where there's nothing on your list anymore. There's nothing else that you want to change, fix, or improve. There's nothing that right now you're struggling with, you're focused on, you really want to bring in or to make go away. There's nothing left on your list. You don't have any more wishes to ask the genie. And here's where something really, really, really fascinating, I know I keep using that word, would happen. What would you do at that point? There's nothing left on your list that you want to change, fix, or improve that you've been so hypnotized by, so focused on. It's so important. It's taken up most, if not all, of your time, money, and energy is trying to make the bad things go away or improve them and make the good things come in. So you handle all that, especially money. Money is now a non-issue because as a result of your wishes or whatever, you got money handled. You got the money to do whatever it is you want to do. So where would you go then? Here's where you'd go. All of a sudden, your focus would shift. It used to be on, here's all the stuff I want to change, fix, and improve, and I'm pushing, working to get it. All of a sudden, your focus would shift to, what would really be fun for me? What do I really want to play with? What would really be interesting for me to do or explore? How would I like to express myself creatively in a way that's different from what I've done in the past? Or perhaps I've always wanted to paint, or I've wanted to this or that, but was never able to, and so now I will. So it's what would be fun for you to do, what would really be pleasurable for you to do, what would be really interesting for you to explore and play with, and how would you like to express yourself creatively? And they're all really linked. I mean, to me, everything that we do ultimately is creative expression. And this space where everything else is kind of handled and your focus becomes 100% on and consistently on those three things. What would be fun for me to do? What would be interesting for me to explore? How would I like to express myself creatively? I call that state creative ecstasy. And it's my belief that that's our deepest desire, all of us, is to be able to live in creative ecstasy. But we get so hypnotized by all these change, fix, improves, and the struggles and the wants that we either bury that really deeply or we think, well, I'd love to be able to do that, but I just can't because of da-da-da-da. So you'd open up into this state of creative ecstasy. And that's what we really want. Now, we got two dynamics here. One is we got this big list of things that we want. And the reality is, the truth is, for all of us, again, some of those things will really float our boat, even long term. Others of the things on our list won't float our boat at all, and we'll just be really surprised. We really wanted this thing, we get it, it's no big deal, and we're surprised. Or we get a brief charge and exhilaration, and then it wears off quickly, and it was kind of like, wow, is that it? And so there's a misalignment, if you will. There's a disconnect between what I call what you think you want and what you really want. And what you really want means what would really be fun for you, fulfilling for you, satisfying for you, pleasurable for you, interesting for you, whatever, versus the things that we think will be but really wouldn't be. So our vision's blurred, our vision is distorted. And so the real magic, what to me is true success, with a capital T and a capital S, true transformation, winning the human game, if you will, however you want to look at it, is being able to play in this space that I call creative ecstasy, which is where I play from right now. And an extraordinary journey took me from the struggle and the hypnosis and all the stuff I just talked about into being able to live in this space consistently and to be able to empower and support others in leaping into that creative ecstasy place too. But that's the target. So if what you really want is to get the things that you really want, including things related to money and everything else that may be on your list, but the versions of it that you really want, that would really float your boat, that would really be happy. So the important thing is we got to clarify our vision. And then once we're really clear on what we really want, we have to expand, if you will, expand consciousness, however you want to look at it, in order to enter a place where we can actually live that way and experience it, where we are free to be able to do what it is that we really want, that I'm calling creative ecstasy. And I discovered a path that you can follow and a specific set of practical tools and a whole system of navigation support, as I call it, that can support you in clarifying your vision and then opening up into this creative ecstasy space, which I also call the true joy experience. It's just my label. And if you'd like to know more about the things that I've just planted seeds about here, I'd like to invite you to take the next step and to watch another set of videos that I created that are what I call a guided tour of the Busting Loose model. This discovery that I made, I call the Busting Loose model because it supports you in busting loose from everything that's limiting and restricting you and preventing you from seeing clearly and being able to expand into a place where you can really live in creative ecstasy. And so on this page that you're on, or wherever you're watching this video, or at the end of the video, there will be a place that you can go, a link that you can click on, a website address, whatever it is, that can support you in moving somewhere or doing something that will allow you to then take this guided tour of the Busting Loose model. And I'd like to really strongly invite you to do that, because if the experience of that guided tour is for you what it was for me when I first made the discoveries and started traveling the path, and has been now for tens of thousands of people all over the world, you'll find that it gives you a food, if you will, that you've been starving for. It gives you a medicine, if you will, that can cure so many of the ills that you've been struggling with. And it can really blow your mind in a lot of ways and open a door to a radically different way of living and life. And so I'd like to invite you, if you've resonated with anything that I've said here, you're curious about anything about what I've said here, and you want to know more, go ahead and take that guided tour. Thanks for spending some time with me here. Whether you take the guided tour or not, whether our paths ever cross again, if you simply follow the line of thought that I planted seeds are in this video. If you had a magic genie, what would you ask for? What would you do when you got through your whole list? You'll see the clarity and the truth with a capital T of what I'm saying, that you'd end up in a place of joyfully pursuing what it is that really floats your boat. And that's what you really want. And I can offer you a radically different path into that experience. So I wish you well on your journey. Thanks for spending some time with me here, and bye-bye for now.